now we're moving on for Ready to Love Season 8, and we're on the date with Quinton, Lee, and Janelle. This date was funny. This date was funny. So you can see why Quinton liked Janelle, because that ex-girlfriend of his, what was her name? Bree. She feisty. She is feisty and Janelle is feisty. So we can see what Quinton likes in Janelle. But this is still all fake. This is all still fake. First of all, Bree wasn't even Quinton's ex, because Bree said she wanted exclusivity and Quinton didn't, which means that ain't your man. He's a lot of people's man. I wish women would stop saying men are they boyfriends or exes when the men weren't exclusive with them. I don't know. Am I just too old? I thought when you said somebody's your boyfriend, that means you're exclusive. Has the world changed that much? Quinton over here playing games. He playing games with Janelle and Lee just like he was playing games with this girl, Bree. I told you he's a personal trainer. He knows how to charm the ladies, and he's charming the pants off of Janelle. I think Janelle is used to getting the upper hand on men, but let me tell you, Quinton's getting the upper hand on her. Quinton got her sold. Janelle is sold on Quinton. I think she might even be believing this story. Janelle just came off that bad day with Marie. Be sure to watch my video on that one, on that day with Janelle and Marie, because that was a total disaster. And now that woman over there was talking about how Marie liked to have a lot of sex. And then next thing you know, Bree is over here on this day talking about, have y'all had any kind of physical contact yet? Why do these exes feel that's an appropriate question? We over here trying to figure out information about him, but you too busy over here asking us about our intimate life. That's inappropriate. But Janelle really is the one that Quinton's going to choose, or Janelle going to choose Quinton, whichever way you want to say it, because Lee is out the picture. Lee is completely out the picture, as she should. I can't believe Lee started in one of my front runners. Lee started as one of my front runners, but let me tell you, she has slowly slipped from that podium that I had her on. I hope y'all watched my videos last week of her on the dates with Christopher. And next thing you know, now she's on this date here with Quinton, and she was a big flop again. I know everybody thinks Lee is quiet with high standards. I'm going to tell you what Lee is Lee's got a big old ego. Sorry to say it, people. Lee's ego is huge. Huge. She sat on this date and she was mad at Quinton. Because Quinton said in a comment that he's been overwhelmed with the dating process and he sort of ghosted Lee. And Lee was mad that Quinton said that in a public forum in front of not only the ex, but also Janelle, and she was embarrassed. She was embarrassed. She was embarrassed by the comment because what she felt was he kind of put her down because he said he had ghosted her, even though he was apologizing for it. And he was explaining how he was overwhelmed with the process. She didn't like the fact that he put it out there that he hadn't called her back. And she was embarrassed by it. And so now she was mad at him because of her ego. Now remember, when Janelle had gotten ghosted by Herbert on her date, all Janelle told Herbert was, yeah, how can you say you like me, but you haven't even called me? She just handled it upfront and honest. But Lee, her feelings was hurt. Her feelings was so hurt, she started going into what Quinton calls her shell, and she's quiet and she shrinks. No, Quinton was reading Lee all wrong. Quinton was reading Lee as if Lee is shy and quiet and she was shrinking. In fact, he even said that in the ladies' lounge. That's not what Lee was doing. Lee was not shy and quiet and shrinking. What Lee was doing was her ego. It was her ego. It's the same thing that she was doing on that date with Christopher. Her ego couldn't take the idea that Christopher didn't call her. So what she did was she took Christopher out on a date to tell him, I need to teach you about levels of dating. Quinton better be careful because he's going to end up on a date at a restaurant with a white tablecloth and drinking some wine and be taught the levels of dating. He about to get taken out and be taught the levels of dating because once again, another man has offended the ego of Lee. And how did he offend her? By not calling her. That's how he offended her, by not calling her and then telling somebody else, oh yeah, I didn't call her. I should have called her, but I was overwhelmed. And she was offended by it. Lee is not shy and quiet. Lee got an ego as huge as this room I'm sitting in. This is not about a woman that just has high standards. Listen, you can have high standards and not do the things that Lee does. Lee cops attitudes. Lee cops an attitude and she either stays quiet or she smiles. She stays quiet like she did on this date or the last date when she was with Christopher. She smiled and go, well, there's levels to dating. There's levels to dating. You know what, Lee? Lee might be a good fit for Christopher because Christopher is another one that likes to smile in your face when he's kind of telling you something. They might be a good match. Maybe Christopher and Lee will be a good match because they both got really high standards and they will tell you about yourself if you don't meet their standards. Those two might be a good match. And then when that woman said again, she was asking, well, do you guys feel like you're in competition on this dating show? I don't know. I thought it was a valid question to ask considering the makeup of the show. Once again, it was Janelle who basically handled the question well. She said, you know what? Hey, you know what? No, I don't feel like we're in competition. It is the nature of the show, but I don't look at it that way. Why don't you just talk and open up your mouth? But no, not Lee. Lee's ego was so bruised. Me in competition? Girl, I ain't in no competition. That's what she's thinking in the back of her head, but it doesn't come out her mouth. So then what she does is she keeps her mouth shut. Quinton thought she was shrinking because he thought she was intimidated or she shy. No. Lee's ego was bruised and her ego was puffing up so much when she says, girl, I'm not even talking to you. That was arrogance. That was ego. That was not a person who's shy and who's shrinking. Absolutely not. It was almost as if Lee turned up her nose and said, I'm not even engaging in this conversation anymore. I'm not even talking to you anymore because I'm above all this. Lee turned up her nose at this date, this woman, everything, and Quinton. It's her fault. She shouldn't have locked in on Quinton. Remember Lee was saying the one that comes the hardest, she always locks in on him real fast. Remember she was telling Christopher on the last date, I'm the type of woman where you better hurry up because I lock in on a man. There you go. That's the problem. You locked in on Quinton. Now everybody thinks you was locked in on Quinton. Even Phil said it in the little deliberation room. He said Lee is busy. Busy with what? Quinton? We found out now that Quinton ain't even calling Lee. So here Lee is locking in on a man that's not even calling her. And now all the other men think she's locked in. That's her fault. That's her fault. She did that. Lee mad at all these women for not calling her, but she was the one that locked in on Quinton. She shouldn't have done it because now Quinton over here playing games. Quinton is a professional dater. He's a professional woman charmer. Lee left this date all mad, and Quinton left the date with his hand on the hip of Janelle. Woo! Lee left the date mad, and Quinton left the date with his hand on the hip of Janelle. I want to see Lee and Chris go on a date. They might get along with each other. They might get along with each other really, really well. I don't know whose ego is going to be bigger, Chris's ego or Lee's ego. But I do want to see the battle of the egos. I want to see the battle of the egos between Lee and Christopher because they both know how to deliver it with a smile. But Janelle was booked and busy. She was booked and busy. She went out on a date with Maurier, met his exes. Then she went out here with Quinton. And then she had this next date with Herbert to meet his ex, Melanie. And that didn't go well. At least it didn't go well for Herbert. Because I put Herbert in the category of time waster. Y'all know every year I give somebody the definition of time waster. It's Herbert. Herbert is the time waster. We're figuring out. He be wasting women's time, a period. And Janelle's like, you ain't gonna waste my time. I want to be married at the end of this season and this end of this year. And I want to be married by the next year or having a baby at the end of next year. And Herbert was like, that ain't on my time schedule. Don't you know I'm the time waster? Woo! He is a time waster. Melanie said she gave him 2 years of her life. And she said that was enough. I wouldn't don't give men no 2 years. I'm going to give them a year at the most. A year. After that, if they ain't moved further than a year with a proposal or something, keep it moving. Keep it moving. Time wasters. There's a whole lot of them out here. And I'm finding out that Herbert is a time waster. He said he likes strong women. I know he does because time wasters like strong women. They like women who can endure it. Woo! Time wasters love strong women because strong women can endure all the time wasting they're going to do. They don't like a woman that's soft or weak because she falls down and she needs him to lift her up. He likes strong women, women who can endure the long road. He said he liked that thugness in Janelle. He said, bring that thug woman on over here. That's right. Because he says, I'm going to need a strong woman with a strong back to be able to endure all the time wasting I'm going to do. And that's why he likes Janelle. But Janelle was like, that ain't me. I want to get married soon and have a baby soon. And he was like, wait a minute. I don't want to do that. And then when Janelle started talking about she want to adopt, he was like, I don't want to be raising on other man's babies. He said, I barely want to date a woman with kids. Why would I want to adopt a child? He wanted to adopt him. He was not into adopting. He turned his nose up at it. He was not interested in it one bit. I know a lot of women want to adopt and they don't understand why a lot of men don't want to adopt. A lot of men don't. A lot of men don't. It's sad. It's true. We do need more people to adopt kids, but there's a lot of men, and especially a lot of black men, read the statistics. They don't want to adopt no kids. They really don't. I don't know what Herbert's going to do. I don't know what Herbert's going to do to get to the end. I don't know. He might run it over there to Katarina. Maybe it's going to be Herbert and Katarina that's going to end up hooking up. They both tall. Katarina got a little bit more time to waste. Herbert definitely want to waste some time. So maybe it's going to be Herbert and Katarina going towards the end, because I don't see Katarina running up behind Chris too much, doing all the work he wants her to do. And who knows? So I don't know. And Katarina says she may want to have a child. Maybe Herbert can convince her. But it's pretty apparent that Janelle and Herbert ain't a good fit. It is pretty apparent. But that's it, y'all. Be sure to watch my other videos. I did videos on all the other group dates or a couple dates or whatever. Watch out the videos, and I'll talk to you later. Bye.